The top 10 under 21 players in the world right now. This is going to get spicy. There are so many young talents bursting through at the minute. I mean, this was just such a difficult list to make, which is why I brought in someone who thinks they know so much about football. Welcome to the channel, Pietro.
Thank you. Of course, we all know I've got incredible ball knowledge. I hope he puts my link down in the description so you guys can see more incredible ball knowledge.
That is something I beg to differ. Something we're going to find out today. Let us know in the comments, who do you think has the best list? The criteria is just the top 10 under 21 players in the world. Not current form, not like potential, just who are the best ones. So...
yes, so we're going to be going from 10th to 1st and...
Why did you go 10th to 1st? It should be the other way around.
Yeah.
But yeah, fair play. You've already started badly. I can sense that we are not going to agree. Number 10, who have you got?
I've got for Warren Zaire-Emery, PSG central midfielder.
Okay, wow.
Well, earlier when I was making this, I had him a bit higher in the list, but you know, I kind of forgot some players, and then I realized, wait, no, he has to be here, and I had to move him down. You know, he's a great talent, very young, bit unfortunate to not play more games at the Euros. You know, great player for PSG, especially after Mbappe left. But yeah, who have you got?
I will have to incredibly disagree with you there. I think that's disrespectful to Warren Zaire-Emery. I think he has to be much higher on this list. I've gone with number 10, I've gone with Gavi.
Ooh.
Okay, so Gavi missed large portions of last season through the ACL injury, but before that, like for the first part of last season, he was Barcelona's best player, and Barcelona completely crumbled when he went out. We've known of him for donkey's years. Since 16, he's been bursting through, and he's never really had, the only problem I have with Gavi is he's never really had a position that he's mastered, but I think now, you look at him as a true 8, he can do everything. He's an all-action midfielder, and I feel like the only thing that slightly brings Gavi down is the fact that he's compared to Pedri, and Pedri is like ridiculous. So I feel like that makes Gavi seem not as good, but Gavi has to be in this list. He definitely could have been higher. I think he's a great player.
Yeah, that's a really fair point. You see, I kind of didn't really think about the fact that he was injured because, you know, you told me it's overall no matter what. So I've actually got Gavi a bit higher in this list.
You've got Gavi above Zaire-Emery?
Yeah, I feel
that's crazy.
No, I mean, I don't know. I just prefer the way Gavi plays, you know. I'm not saying Zaire-Emery is bad, of course, because even if you're in the top 10, you're still incredibly good at football.
But I think Zaire-Emery's technical ability is better than Gavi. But I love Gavi, and I think he could have potentially been, probably 8th is the highest I'd go with him. He definitely could have been there. I think he's a great player. I think this season, if he gets integrated back into that Barcelona midfield, he's going to have a huge impact. And I think that he can do it all. He is a complete midfielder. But I think Zaire-Emery has that touch of class. And I think that, I'm going to get to him later. Number 9, I have gone with Pau Cubarsí.
Ooh.
All right.
Do you want to say why you've gone for him? Or?
Okay, yeah, I'm going to explain. Pau Cubarsí, this is another one that I wasn't so sure because I feel like he had to be on this list, right? He definitely could have been higher. If we're basing it off potential, this guy could have been much higher. It's still a small sample size, so I'm being careful with what I say about him. I know that could contradict with some things later in my list, but I think that Pau Cubarsí, so first of all, his ball distribution from centre-back is absolutely ridiculous. It is up there with the best in the world already at 17. Centre-back is one of the hardest positions to master at a young age, and Cubarsí has done it like that. Next to Inigo Martinez, who I don't really rate that much, so Cubarsí is having to do a lot of work, and Barcelona are on fire right now. He was doing this last season, man of the match in that fixture against Napoli in the Champions League, and I feel like the maturity he's showing at his age is unbelievable.
You see, I agree with those points, except... you know, this might make you a bit mad. I haven't got Pau Cubarsí on my list.
Oh, come on.
He's one of my honourable mentions. I'm going to say this. I've got 2 honourable mentions, and Pau Cubarsí is one of my honourable mentions just because he's so young and the way he's proving
he's terrific. I'm sorry. He might be the best passer from centre-back in the world. Genuinely, I'm not even kidding there. He's ridiculous. He's ridiculous. And I love Pau Cubarsí.
The thing with Pau Cubarsí, right? It's kind of... Obviously, he looks really good, in my opinion, just because of the fact he's playing with Inigo Martinez. It's not really hard to stand out. Obviously, I'm not saying he's a bad player.
Wow.
But what I'm saying, I feel like the difference isn't hard to see when you've got such a not great footballer next to you.
Who have you got number 9?
I've gone with a bit of Premier League bias here. I've gone with Kobbie Mainoo.
Okay, that's interesting. I like that.
I feel like that means you have him higher on the list, but I've gone with Kobbie Mainoo, right? he scored a great goal against Liverpool last year. We were watching that together on the live stream.
We're not talking
Let's not
about
talk about that. But yeah, just basically without him, Man United would be getting relegated. And they're doing horrendously right now. I mean,
and he's injured.
Played well against Leicester, to be fair, last night with Ruud Nistelrooy. But
Ruud Nistelrooy is crazy.
Bro, what a
this is interesting. This is really interesting because I've actually got Manu in 8th. I've got him mixed up.
That's interesting.
I've got him in 8th because I think this guy, I mean, again, he came into the team last season, Man United were in the bin, and just first couple of games, thrown in at the deep end. You know, that Everton game, the one where Garnacho scored a bicycle kick, that was one of Manu's first games, and I thought he was incredible. Against Liverpool at Anfield, right? The first one, the 0-0. Just ridiculous. And then we saw him gradually grow throughout the season. He was unbelievable. FA Cup final, scored the decisive goal. And then the Euros campaign he had was just crazy. Just thrown in at the deep end. Man United had nothing. They had absolutely nothing. Manu comes through and he's absolutely ridiculous. And I think that this guy is one of the bright talents. I mean, I feel like he definitely could have been higher on this list, 100%. But maybe a bit of personal bias. But, you know, I've got him 8th. I think that's a really, really respectable position. I think he could have potentially been maybe 6th. I feel like that's as high as I'd go.
The thing with Kobbie Mainoo, right, is he's so young, doing it in the top league in the world, playing for a horrendous club, proving it against clubs like Liverpool, playing against Liverpool, Manchester City, clubs like Aston Villa even. The way he's proving it, showing that he can dominate that midfield. For example, last season, Douglas Luiz versus Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo won that battle in terms of who played better. It's such a crazy thing.
I think he's a great player.
Overall, he's a great player.
And the Euros delivered again. And I feel like when you're playing for one of the biggest, if not the biggest club in the world, and your club is falling apart, and you are doing that at such a young age is crazy. Who do you have number 8?
In 8th, I've gone for easy.
I just want to hear a fair take.
Xavi Simons.
Oh, okay. Because Xavi Simons didn't make my list.
Oh,
he didn't make my list.
I really respect when players are that good technically, with their technical ability, the way to dribble past players. We saw Xavi Simons against England in the Euros. That
great goal.
Great goal. I celebrated like mad because obviously I hate England. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
But Xavi Simons, right? The way he just dribbles past everyone, playing, and he's not even playing for such a great club, and he's still keeping them alive. Brought them to the Champions League. The way what he's doing is majestical.
Okay, majestical. Let's slow down. Xavi Simons is a great player, and he was actually one of my 2 honourable mentions. Maybe I'll get to the one who didn't make it as well later. I don't know if you have him. I don't think you do. But he definitely could have made it. Xavi Simons is a great player, but I feel like I still need to see him do it at the big stage. Obviously that England game, right, great goal or whatever, but I feel like during the Euros he didn't really stand out. I feel like out of the wingers, Gakpo is definitely the one that did better, and I don't even think Gakpo's that great, to be honest, as a Liverpool fan. Friendly fire there again. But I think that maybe because I don't watch Leipzig that much, I don't know what to say on this, but I feel like Xavi Simons just isn't better than the people I had in the top 10. I feel like he was in my top 12, so fair point. Number 7, who have you got? Come on.
I've got, for someone you put a bit lower in the list, give me a bit of Pablo Gavi.
What? Oh,
Gavi.
Well, guess what? Guess what's funny? I've got Zaire Emery.
And you know what's even funnier? I swapped these 2 players around last minute.
Oh my god. So you think that Gavi's 3 places above Zaire Emery?
No, the thing is,
I
with
think
this
that's
list,
crazy.
One thing I noticed while making this list is that every player is so close to one another that realistically they could be put in any order.
Yeah.
That's how just good they are, right?
Yeah. But I feel like Zaire Emery, what he was doing last season for PSG, I mean, those Champions League games, I remember, was it not the Newcastle game they didn't do particularly well, it was the Milan game, and the Dortmund game. I just remember him bossing that midfield. It was his midfield. At the age of 17 in the Champions League against the biggest clubs at the biggest stage, he was the guy dominating that midfield. I feel like he's a great carrier of the ball. He's a great passer. He's creative, but he can play that sort of 8 role. Now PSG have obviously signed João Neves as well, and I think they're going to play well there. They've got Fabian Ruiz, they've got Vitinha, they've got a very, very competent midfield, PSG, and I feel like they're a team to watch out for here. I feel like if they get it right, they've got great players, they just need to get it right. If they click, they could be a really, really good team in the Champions League, but I just don't see it so far from PSG. But Zaire Emery has been ridiculous, and I think that him and Gavi is close, but I feel like I've seen more from Zaire Emery, and I feel like he plays with such confidence on the pitch. Like he's a proper baller.
Now, I like the points, right? Except with Gavi, right? to be currently Barcelona or top of La Liga, Hansi Flick is doing a great job. You know, Gavi recently...
And Gavi isn't playing.
Yeah, I know, which is crazy, but Gavi recently coming back from injury, you know, first few games he played, obviously not great because that's what happens when you're out for a year. But I just feel like if he can get back on his feet and we see the Gavi that we know, played in 2 years ago, I feel like he's, obviously this is not based on potential, but what we can see with Gavi is I just feel like he's going to become a great player. And the way he does, like, manipulates the midfield alongside Pedri, you know, tiki-taka, prime Barca football. It reminds me of Xavi and Iniesta, you know.
Okay, no, that's crazy.
No,
but they don't even play the same way.
No, thing is, Xavi and Iniesta, right, one's more defensive, one's more attacking. Pedri and Gavi, they play kind of like 8 alongside each other. You know, Gavi playing those nice little through balls into this attack, while Pedri's more of a all-rounder.
Yeah. We'll talk about Pedri later on this list. I'm sure he's going to come up. But those are our number 7s. Number 6, who have you got?
Someone I actually forgot while making the list, but I'm happy I had him. Eduardo Camavinga. You know, completely forgot he was 21 years old. Or 20 years old.
Get out.
20.
Get out.
Have you got him higher?
Camavinga is... Oh my god. Okay. Tell me your reasons for this, because we're gonna... Yeah,
so Camavinga is the definition of an overall player. Obviously, we know he can play multiple positions, full-back or centre mid, you know. Played in El Clasico the other day. Obviously, Real Madrid did get absolutely cooked, which we'll talk about later, probably.
we could, yeah.
But yeah, another thing, he was a bit unlucky to not play more games in the Euros, obviously, due to Kante. But Kante had one good game. And I feel like, get Camavinga in there, and I feel like it would have been a bit stronger, you know. With Camavinga, he's good passer of the ball, good dribbler, good defender. He's got everything that you want from a DM or a centre mid.
Yeah, exactly, which is why he should be higher on this list. I'm going to talk about Camavinga later. Number 6, Florian Wirtz.
What? That's outrageous. Okay, keep going.
You think Wirtz is above Camavinga? That's ridiculous. When I was making this list, I had a top 5 that were all on their own table, and then it was kind of below that. I think Florian Wirtz is great, right? I think he's like technically gifted, very, very good. I feel like I'm yet to see more, right? I feel like obviously he's amazing. I have him 6th on this list, but I feel like to put him above some of the people that we're going to talk about, I think it's crazy. I feel like at the Euros he was very good for the first few games, but then Sane came in instead of him. He didn't then score that goal against Spain. That was very good. I feel like for Leverkusen last season, what he did was spectacular. But I feel like the players that I'm going to talk about later are just better than Wirtz, and it's close, but I feel like they are. I feel like Wirtz is missing a little bit of that, you know, X factor that maybe a similar German that we're going to talk about later has.
I'm pretty sure
I don't know if Florian Wirtz quite has that sort of, like, I mean, okay, like that sort of pace and like flair, you know. Wirtz is more technical, very good in combination, and I think he's a great player. Unlucky not to make the top 5, but I think 6th is the perfect place for him.
No, I mean, it's a great point, but
I want to see where you have Florian Wirtz.
Xabi Alonso, right, instrumental to Leverkusen's success last year. But without Wirtz, that playing that number 10 spot, one of the most important roles in the game, you know, controlling the attack, helping out the midfield. I feel like with that balance of...
in that position, and there's players on this list that do it better than him.
But playing with Leverkusen, you know, it was a great... Like, the team wasn't great.
But he plays on the left as well. So, you know...
When he plays in the midfield, you know, the game feels more alive. He brings the passes. He brings what needs to be done. The way he dribbles past defenders, gets in the box, shoots, scores. We saw it at the Euros as well, you know.
Scored the first goal of
the Euros.
Yeah, good player. Great player, actually. But I feel like the top 5 are just a little bit of a tier above him. Who have you got in 5th place?
In 5th place, I've got Florian Wirtz.
Oh, okay. So you were getting angry over one position.
The reason I got angry was because you told me your top 5 was clear of and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, because...
I feel like that's disrespectful.
No, I feel like you're disrespectful to Eduardo Camavinga. But Florian Wirtz, I mean anything else you want to add? No?
Yeah, actually. He has the 2nd most chances created out of any attacking midfielder this season.
Well,
so, quick little thing.
Good stat there. Talking about attacking midfielders, this one might ruffle a few feathers.
Oh, I know who you got.
Who do you think I've got?
I'm not going to say. You tell me.
5th place, I've got Jude Bellingham. This one is going to cause a little bit Jude Bellingham. So... this was really close. When I was making this list, this was incredibly close between Jude and the ones above him. Because Jude had a case to be number 1, and he actually was my number 1 for a bit, and I was interchanging it a lot. But I have him in 5th, just because I feel like he is very much, he's a final third player. He's a fantastic finisher. He's inevitable. He always finds himself in those positions to score those goals. Last season went on a ridiculous run of form. At the Euros, I feel like he wasn't great, but he still scored. I mean, Slovakia, when they needed him, right? Bicycle kick, he turns up. He's inevitable. He's a fantastic player. But I feel like maybe at the Clasico we saw it as well. He doesn't always impact the game. You sometimes don't really see Bellingham there. And I feel like the players above him, right? I mean, most of the players above him, the two of the players above him play a similar position, and I feel like they are technically better. One of them's technically much better, and one of them I think is flair much better. I feel like Jude is a powerful player as well. Like he's got this level of maybe Cole Palmer to him as well, right? He just does not get flustered by pressure. He's just there, and he's always ready for the big stage. He won a Champions League in his first season, and we've known about him for a few years now. So he could have easily been higher. Don't say I'm on a Bellingham hater or whatever agenda. No, I haven't got an agenda. Jude Bellingham is fantastic. But I just, also personal preference, I prefer some of these players that I have above him.
You've just basically taken words out of my mouth, because I was about to say that the fans are absolutely going to slander you.
Yeah, they are.
But yeah, obviously, like you said, top 5 is very interchangeable. Yeah. I feel like it's fair, but what I find crazy is that you literally told them that you had him in first, and then you dropped him down.
Because every single...
But we don't know.
All members of my top 5 were in first at one point. I couldn't decide. Who have you got in fourth? Please, I'm begging.
Fourth place, I've got Gavi's twin brother, basically. I've gone for Pedri.
Okay.
You've got him higher. That's interesting.
I've gone with Eduardo Camavinga. I think Eduardo Camavinga, bro. I didn't talk when you were talking about him, so now I want a segment on Camavinga. You can
have your moment.
Eduardo Camavinga is one of the most complete footballers in the game right now. The man can do absolutely everything, right? He's shown his versatility. When Real Madrid needed him that season, he played at left back, but he is an all-action central midfielder. He's rapid. He can go forward as well. Defensively, he's unbelievable. He reminds me a little bit. He's got a little bit of that Kante in him, where he's just the energy, the engine, right? He's absolutely everywhere, right? Strong in the tackle as well. El Clasico at the weekend, first half. Who was Real Madrid's best player? It was Eduardo Camavinga. He was everywhere. When it was still 0-0, I was thinking Real Madrid are going to go on and win this game. I was like, Camavinga has been that guy. He is an absolute monster. He's got so many legs. You can't get round him, right? He is like, he's got a little bit of that Kante in him. He's got a little bit of prime Fabinho in him, but he can progress the ball as well. He's a great progressive player. His versatility is crazy. I feel like the only thing I can say against Camavinga is he's quite one-footed. But other than that, he can do it all. I mean, he's left-footed, so obviously it's harder for a left-footer to use their right foot. But he's ridiculous, and I love watching Eduardo Camavinga play. I think he's got so much in his game. And I think that Real Madrid, I don't know what like sometimes he doesn't even play, and I think that is an absolute scam. I think he's amazing. And I ranked him above Jude. I think he's more important to Real Madrid than Jude is. But I don't even think either of them are their most important midfielder. I mean, he's not in this video because he's not under 21, but I think Fede Valverde is Real Madrid's most important midfielder and maybe most important player. I think he's that good.
Yeah, obviously you basically said everything that I said, just kind of in more detail. But the reason Pedri, right, bit unlucky to get injured in the Euros. Obviously, Toni Kroos was extremely sorry about it. I feel like it's not as obviously still like memorable, but it's not as good when you're not the player that's playing in the final.
Of course.
I feel like that just feels a bit wrong. But we saw in El Clasico
again domination, bro.
Like 4-0. I'm sorry. But that's why you've probably got him higher.
Oh, yes.
I just know you're going to say a ton of things coming, but Pedri, 4th place, and that kind of transitions beautifully because now I'm going to talk about Jude Bellingham in 3rd place.
And it also transitions beautifully because I'm going to talk about Pedri in 3rd place.
Well, that's cool.
Okay, so let me talk about Pedri first, and then I'll let you have your Bellingham. So Pedri could have been number 1 on this list, and he was number 1 for a while, right? I feel like he is like probably out of all these players, he's the closest definition of silk. You know, he's so beautiful to watch. I'm sorry. The way he controls the game, right, is just ridiculous. The way he moves out of tight spaces, how creative he is with his passing. Like, he is, and he has been doing this. I mean, that Euros in 21, just ridiculous. I mean, he played so many games that year, and he has now become, the thing I have against Pedri is he's now become an injury-prone player, right? So we don't always see it with him. But I feel like when he plays, he dominates every midfield. He's, in terms of dribbler, he's elite. That left foot is a wand, like an absolute wand. And I feel like he, unlike someone like Bellingham or a man we're going to talk about later, maybe goal contributions isn't really their thing. But I'm telling you, in terms of, if you watched the game, right? If you're reading stats, you don't see Pedri. If you watch the game, you see how everything goes through this man.
And that's the thing with any midfielder. They're the players basically with the least goal contributions, obviously without defenders. But with defenders, you see stats just like duels won and stuff.
Yeah.
With midfielders, the stats don't tell you what they truly are. It's called highlights. It's called analysing the game. You see how the ball transitions from one play to another. It's different the way they do it. Attackers, like Haaland, stand there, score goals when people think he's the best.
Yeah.
Players like midfielders, obviously De Bruyne, Pedri, those type of players, they're the reason that those players are scoring. They are the reason the ball goes from one side of the pitch to the other, creating all the chances, allowing the team to score. They're the reason a team wins a game.
Pedri's ridiculous, and he plays with such confidence as well. Like, again, for what he's done at his age is crazy. Now Euros winner as well. Obviously, he did get injured, quite unlucky, but he had a great tournament up until then, and he's back doing it for Barca. Jude Bellingham, have your say.
You basically said it as well earlier.
Because I'm not mad at that. Like, when you put Florian Wirtz above Camavinga and stuff, I was mad at that. This one, or Gavi over Zaire-Emery, I was slightly mad. This one I'm not mad at. Jude Bellingham could easily be third.
Now I'm going to talk about some, recent stuff. Obviously, it's not that recent anymore, but Bellingham. Realistically, without him, England don't go anywhere near where they reached. Scored that bicycle kick against Slovakia. It was a great tournament for him overall. Played really well in the final as well. I don't really know what else to say about him because
he's a big stage player as well.
And the fact that he's so versatile for Real Madrid. Every time they switch formation, if it's a 4-4-2, he'll play on the left, he'll play in the middle, he'll play up top. It's so good the way he can play every position, allowing basically any team to.
I virtually agree with everything he just said here. But now it is down to the best of the best. Number 2, who is your pick?
I struggled a lot. Obviously, like you said, top 5 interchangeable. These two, I feel like it's going to cause a bit of controversy. I went for Jamal Musiala at number 2. And we've agreed.
With Jamal Musiala's number 2, and number 1 is Lamine Yamal.
But let's talk about Jamal Musiala first. Why have you put him there?
I love Jamal Musiala. I cannot begin to tell you how much I love this guy. I mean, everything he does is what I want my attacking midfielder to do. I mean, in terms of flair, in terms of getting out of tight spaces, dribbling, beating your man, but not just one, beating 2, 3, Like, I think he might be the best player in the world at when he's closed down to get out of that and create something, right? He's rapid. He's got a great shot on him. He's got a great pass on him. He's just everything you want from a midfielder. He's doing it for Bayern. He's doing it for Germany. I thought he was exceptional at the Euros, and he is the guy for Bayern, right? Bayern have got Harry Kane, they've got Sané, they've got Kimmich, like, decent team. But Jamal Musiala is the guy. That is the guy you build the team around. And I feel like he is just, when you watch him, like, when he gets the ball, you lean forward in your seat. Like, you start to stand up. You wait for something to happen. The anticipation is there that Jamal Musiala is going to do something. Maybe I don't really get that when a Bellingham or Pedri gets the ball as much as I get it with Jamal Musiala. When Musiala gets the ball, I'm like, okay, what's happening now? I feel like it's amazing.
You see, with these top 2, right, I'm going to just chuck in top 2, right? I kind of, obviously I said earlier, the way that they make the game look, Musiala is the definition of the beautiful game. The way he gets in and out of players, not even Brazilian, He seems like a Brazilian when you look at him play, elastico, step-overs, getting out of tight spaces.
Absolutely.
Obviously, as a Liverpool fan, I'm mad we couldn't get him. Hopefully we do.
But he's adding numbers to his game as well. He's got that end product.
He's everything you want.
Everything I want. And that transitions perfectly to, in terms of everything I want, everything I've ever wanted from a winger is what Lamine Yamal is.
And he is also the definition of the beautiful game. When I watch Yamal play, obviously he's not as skills, not as flair as Neymar, but the way he makes everything look so easy, so natural.
Oh my god,
he just cuts it in and shoots.
That goal, those goals that he scores, he has that brilliant ability of cutting it on his left foot and bending it top left corner. To have that skill, with wingers, what we saw, I mean, you compared him to Neymar. Neymar at Santos, what was he like? What was he like? He was a flair, technical, one-on-one dribbler, but not really got that perfect end product. Lamine Yamal has that end product at the age of 17. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy at the Euros was unbelievable. Last season for Barcelona, crazy. This season, I'm gonna give you a concrete example. Barcelona, 1-0 down against Monaco. Red card, right? Struggling, whatever. Things, backs against the wall. Guess what happens? A little ball over the top. 17-year-old Lamine Yamal pushes the defender out the way, guides it on his left, and puts it bottom corner. And that is just the definition of a big stage player. And he is also perfect for international football. Because when I think of international football, I don't think of tactics, I don't think of system players. I think of a player who can grab the game by the scruff of the neck and make something happen out of nothing. Which is why both Musiala and Yamal are brilliant international players compared to maybe someone like Jude Bellingham, who, well, sometimes can go missing at international level.
Yeah.
Yamal is like, and to be doing what he's doing at 17, like, we could be he might be the best, potentially the best wonder kid football's ever seen, and he could go down to be potentially one of the greatest players that the game has ever seen, and I think he will do that. If he continues, if he avoids injuries, because as of right now, the talent, I mean,
what is there to say? Yeah. I mean, yeah, you gave us a nice little stat saying he shoved off the defender, but I'm also going to give a stat because I love my stats.
Yeah.
The only league game Yamal didn't start was the one that Barcelona lost.
Well, that explains it all. And he is the most important player. He is, I think, the most important player at Barcelona. Potential. I mean, as of right now, Lewandowski's in his form. Obviously, Pedri, I think, is ridiculous. Rafinha. It's a great team. But Lamine Yamal is like, he's always there. And when Lamine Yamal is on the pitch, you have to, you cannot just forget about Yamal because he will punish you. I mean, the goal against France, he guides it on his left foot and just bends it into the corner. To have that skill at that age, and he's been doing it consistently. The France goal was not the only time. He was doing it last season, those goals, in the La Liga games that I watched him. He is and he makes the game look so beautiful. One-on-one dribbler, unbelievable. The way his low centre of gravity, the way he moves in and out of tight spaces as well, similar to maybe what a Jamal Musiala does. He is the most, he's so complete. And maybe we need to still wait because obviously we haven't seen it from him for that long, but I think he is on track to become one of
the best players of all time.
Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. He might already be in the conversation to be the best player in the world right now, now. He could be in that. He's forget that. He is in that conversation. He's 100% in that conversation. Lamine Yamal, I feel like it's a debate. Lamine Yamal or Mo Salah. Who would you take as a right winger? Because I'm telling you what Lamine Yamal gives you over 90 minutes. Obviously, he doesn't have the numbers that Salah does, but what he gives you over 90 minutes, you're just oh my god, defenders must hate playing against him.
Yeah, and he's one of the players that are what do I do against him? Because he's got a signature feint. He can cut out, he can cut in, he can pass the ball, he can shoot the ball. You never know what he's going to do.
Yes.
If he has the ball, you know you're in trouble.
And he's very similar to Vinicius in this. He's relentless. He is relentless. You will not, you can never accuse Lamine Yamal of having a quiet game. You can maybe unsuccessful, maybe inefficient, right? Maybe he tried his dribbles and they didn't work out, but he will always try something. He will always make something happen. You can never accuse Lamine Yamal of having a quiet game because when he gets the ball, he will make magic happen.
Yeah.
And I think that is the perfect way to end off this video. Let me know who you guys agree with. I actually think his list was better than I expected. I mean, the Gavi, Zaire-Emery, the Florian Wirtz and the Camavinga. But other than that, I think it was pretty decent. I feel like a very interchangeable list. Don't hate me for especially my Jude Bellingham. I know that's going to go down badly with some fans.
We're always hated. We're always hated.
It doesn't matter. Thank you very much for watching till the end. See you guys soon.
Peace.